What's up? What's up? Welcome back to another episode of Book Talk. Of course, my name is Aurelia Wynn. I am the host for today. I'm so lucky to be here with Fabs. What's up, girl?
Hey, hey, I'm so happy to see you, even if it's virtual.
I know, girl, it's been a long time. It's been a long time since our last chat, our last get together. How's everything going? Well, hang on, let me slow down because I know who you are and I feel like we can just get right into this. But for the people that don't know you, if you don't mind introducing yourself and then we'll hop into it.
Fab's here. I am an author, a songwriter, spoken words artist. Been working with Win Publications for a couple years now. Just your average advocate out here, just trying to do my part.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why we're good friends. I love that. I'm definitely about the same thing. Community engagement is big. Which you've been really busy. Congrats. What's going on? Tell us the news. What do you have going on out there in the community by you?
Okay, so I became a member of LULAC, which is the oldest and biggest organization that helps the Latino community. And I did not realize how big this organization was until I went to the Veterans Dinner.
Wow.
And they've been around since 1929. And for whatever reason, it just kind of went my wife hanging out with my friend Luis, and he's been a member of this, and he was always talking about it. And I was just like, dude, how do I get involved in that? Like, I really want to work with the kids. And then I told him the whole breakdown that Sammy and I had put together when we were doing that, talking about doing that unity thing, remember?
Mm-hmm.
So I showed it to him and he was all for it, and he presented it to the district director, and now they want to do like a organization that is umbrellaed by LULAC with the veterans families and kids. So, I'm all about working with at-risk kids, even though I took a few years break, but I think I needed to process a lot of things that I was still processing and didn't know I was processing until I was helping somebody else process it. Then I'm just like,
Mm,
oh shit, you know what? That did happen to me. And I take that with me. And I'm like, some
mm,
things I'm just like, I haven't even processed these things myself. So it took me a little bit to get back on track. And LULAC it's a beautiful, beautiful organization that has so much potential. And they're looking for members. They're looking for the new generation to come in and just take over, you know.
yeah. Yeah,
So
that's awesome. So you said you found out through one of your friends about this organization that you're now
mhm.
working with. That's
Yes.
great. Let's go ahead.
And this, he nominated me to be secretary. So I'm secretary of our district in Southern California. And again, I didn't realize how big this was until I went to that dinner, and there was, so much respect and love for the veterans and stuff. And it was just amazing. And I was kind of scared because I haven't worked admin in so long. And I was like, do I even have what it takes anymore? Because it was like a really big trigger for me, but I'm just staying in prayer and doing the best I can with what I have. And if it gets too much, I just, take my rest or whatever I need to do and then just continue.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I was gonna say from your first book, All of Us, to I think we put out Love Chronicles and then Spiritual Awakening, but Spiritual Awakening I think was done first, even before Love Chronicles. And just so if you guys don't know, check out those books. And it well, I'll let you share. Tell us about tell us about your book. Tell us what I was getting to. Let me explain why I'm like slowing myself down from like sharing too much, right? So just because I have witnessed the growth, and if you've been witnessing Fabs from the first book, like I mentioned, from All of Us, where she's very transparent. She talks about some of the things that she just mentioned that she had to process before, getting back into the field, which I get it. I feel like that's been kind of my story too. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that can relate to that, especially when you have a heart for service and for helping your community. Sometimes that comes from And we don't even know it. That comes from a place where it's like, oh, we want to help somebody in a situation that we've been in, or and then that just blooms out to be more. But if you've been experiencing Fab's growth from that book, that was released I think in like 2020, or even I think so,
Yep.
February 20 till now. And then when Spiritual Awakening came out, I was like, okay, like we have been able to kind of watch your healing journey and your growth journey. And so, let's talk about that a little bit with the first book. Tell us what that book is about. There we go.
Okay, so the All of Us is about myself going through before the transition of the spiritual awakening. So it's pretty much like all my insecurities, my vulnerability, personal thoughts that I think when I'm laying in bed by myself. I've been single for a while, so it gets kind of lonely sometimes. And when you're in your deep, darkest moments, despair comes and you just think all these things. And sometimes we feel like we're the only ones that are feeling that because it's so personal and intimate until we release it into the world and we're able to relate to other people, because then they're like, damn, I ain't by myself. Somebody else feels this way, Let me see how they're processing it. Let me see their life and what they're doing with it in order for them to not feel whatever it is that's making you feel as far as darkness. So that is pretty much the All of Us. And then the Spiritual Awakening, I feel like that is taking off. Like that one is the most like I get a lot of, feedback on that one because it's from my transition to that into who I am now, like yesterday, because I feel like every day is a new day. So you're not who you were yesterday. So I've
Mm-hmm.
gotten a lot of feedback on that one because a lot of people are relating to it and they're not understanding when you're going through a whole transition in life. They don't understand the symptoms. They don't see the synchronicity. They don't see those things until somebody plants a
Mm-hmm.
seed in them, or somebody shows them, okay, look at this is what's happening with your life. These are the things that you need to be focused on. And then once they turn on that light, it's like, damn, you know what, Fabs, you know what, that happened and you're right, so
Yeah.
let me put my way into whatever it is, because it doesn't have to be my way, but it is a perspective
Mhm.
for other people to see.
Yeah. 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 No, that's good, girl. We're right there. We're following you. I'm like, what? I'm like, Jack, this is good. Wait a minute. As if I didn't know. Yeah, but and I mean, you said it. You summarized it right there because you know, and there's so many people, and I was even looking up this information for a project that I'm working on. It's called Seeking Connections. It's an anthology on making connections and building relationships. And sometimes, and in my experience, and you can share about this too, sometimes we don't even really know what's like, we have maybe repressed things, or we're just not even aware of like our own traumas, or we just have totally ignored it or just like put it out of our minds or whatever because it's hurtful. But we don't realize that like it's still there until somebody says something, like you said, plants a seed, and then we're like, oh yeah, actually, like, oh, I actually not, like, I haven't overcome that, I haven't healed from that, or there's still work to do with that. And then it's like, okay, at that point, you're like met. I feel like I'm either met with like a decision, like, are you gonna do something about it now, or are you gonna just continue to go in that cycle and leave it as is? Like,
But
how
some
did
things are
that happen
so
for you?
some of these wounds are so deep that when you're opening, you're just scratching the surface. And once you take off that scab, you start to see blood. And that is
Mhm.
the wounds that we're feeling in our bodies. And even though we think we're over things or we don't understand, like my situation, sometimes I feel like I have attachment issues because I was
Mm,
attached to my family, my dad or whatever. And then it was like ripped from me. So I feel like
mm,
if you're not showing me validation or if you're not showing me some type of affection, I feel like I'm not important enough for you. So those are some of the things that I had to work on. I don't feel like that anymore. I've learned how to detach myself
mhm.
from people and things, and it was hard. And sometimes it takes people
Yeah.
years and years and years or months or days or whatever to be able to transition that, or to process that and make, like you said, make that decision. Are you going to, deal with it head on and let it go? Or are you going to just keep putting it aside, and then when you're strong enough, you know, deal with it then? But at the same time, you have to deal with these things in order for you to be strong. So you're not going to be strong until you start dealing with
Yeah.
things, and we're just in denial sometimes,
I was gonna say, I don't want to be strong. I'm sick of being
Mhm.
strong. Like
Fuck,
sometimes I feel
man.
that way, and I'm
Mhm.
learning even now in this season. Like, and maybe that's why I brought that up. Like dealing with your emotions, expressing your emotions, and not like I would label my emotions like, oh, that's a bad emotion or that's a good emotion, and I've learned to kind of take those labels off and just say it's an emotion. You're human. You're allowed to be mad. You're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to be all of these things. And it just is. It's not bad. It's not good. It's you being a person, you being healthy and
Mhm.
expressing it. Because sometimes, yeah, we are programmed to think, oh, these things are bad. No, it's just normal. It's normal to say, hey, I need you to validate me. Well, maybe that's normal. I don't know. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But I think just just being mindful of it and just knowing that okay, this is how I operate, and even looking and seeing how like, oh, okay, this is how I operate, but how is this affecting my life? Then I think that's when transformation can happen. How did it happen for you?
Well, I think one day when I was having a conversation with Sandy, she told me there's no wrong or right way to live. Everything is lessons and
Mm,
experiences. And once that like manifested or absorbed, once I really accepted that, everything else was easier, because I feel you
yeah.
can't feel like you're not doing things the right way, or you're not processing the right way or fast enough or whatever. This is all our energy. This is we're like
Hmm.
muscle, fluid or whatever, but what is us, really us,
Hmm.
so we have to feed our energy good things, the affirmations that, and it's so frustrating because I'm like, shut the fuck up, okay? Like, we know you're strong today, okay? It's just so
Right.
frustrating.
Yeah.
You have to like battle yourself. Like, I don't want to be, like you said, I don't want to be strong. Like, there's no,
Hmm.
not one day that you're battling something. It's just picking and choosing what you're going to allow to penetrate your emotions. It's got to be worth me getting aroused up, because when I get emotional, like all these things come out. So I have to learn how to have patience. So that was one of the biggest things that I had to learn. And
Hmm.
also not to how does she say it? Don't have no expectations from anybody or anyone.
Hmm.
So I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, you can't expect things from other people just because you are the way you are. Like, don't have expectations from anybody, and it won't be, life won't be, and you're right. I can't expect things, or expect people to treat me the way I treat them. I can't have that expectation, because I'm doing it from the love of my heart, and
Hmm.
that was a process too,
Hmm. Hmm.
because we're
Wow.
loved, or we're women, we want to be loved, especially when we have issues like childhood issues and stuff like that. But I had to really, I learned a lot about myself. I should have been single a long time ago. Like, I went from relationship to relationship.
Mm,
But all my relationships have been, I have to say, all my relationships have been in, or years. Like, I wasn't, like when I took
mhm,
you serious, we were serious. But I felt like I robbed myself so much of learning and being smart and making better choices of my life. Like, being single, I've learned a lot about myself. So
come
definitely
on.
recommend you to be single between relationships. Like, give yourself some time to learn what you like, because we lose ourselves with our partner.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good. And someone out there needs to hear that for sure. And even again, I keep talking about this because it's something that I've been working on and having to come to an understanding with, is just like relationships and understanding what it is that I value. And I know one of the things that I value is like reciprocity. I like when someone shows me the same energy that I'm putting out. And like you said, that could be an attachment issue, but it's also something that I've come to understand. Like, I value that. Like, people who do that, like, are like golden souls. Like, I love them so much. But I think what you said, like the other side of that is like not really expecting that. Like, just knowing that that's something that's golden. I value that. And there's like, I'm learning that there's circles. And so like the way in my mind it pans out is like there's the inner circle, which is like just me and God, and just, that's it. Like, the closest, I call it me, God, in my journal, right? Those three people, they know everything. Me, God, and my journal. And then there's the second one, which is like, my close family, my friends, the people that know somewhat kind of, and then it's like my acquaintances, and like, they know me a little bit, not really. They don't really know all my secrets and stuff. Like, that second circle is. And so that's kind of how I've been looking at it. And like, but just dealing
Well,
with
the thing is,
relationships.
your love language isn't my love language, and that's where you're saying
Right.
reciprocity. Just because your love language is one way, it may not be someone else's. Like me, my love language is music. Like, you send me a song and you're like, I thought of you, I'm gonna forever remember that song because you thought of me at
Mm-hmm.
that song. But if I give you a song or I send you a song and you're like, oh, that's a cool song, you know what I'm saying? It's like, no, it's not. It's like an emotion I'm sending to you. You know what I mean? Like, feel my love.
Yeah.
I'm sending this to you, fucker. Or whatever.
Yeah, but that's cool. But like, don't you think like, okay, so in that case, you can be like, I think what becomes weird for me is like communicating that with people. Like, okay, these are the things that like, do people still care about that? Like, do people ask like, oh, what do you like? What don't you like? Or is this just something that, oh, you just come to know from hanging out with someone? Like, school us, let us know. What do you think?
I mean, I feel like we just are who we are. There's no going if and rounds
Yeah.
about it, and they don't really ask you what you like. It's just, it depends on where you meet somebody. The dynamic is based off of that, and you
Mm-hmm.
just learn somebody by being around that person or having some type of connection with that person, and you'll know if you connect and you'll know if you don't. And that's where it starts from there. I've met a couple of disrespect kind of like energy. I don't know if they would think it was disrespectful, but some of it is, I'm an older person, I'm not like in my 20s or 30s. So if you're going to hit my DM and it's just going to be stupid, like, you're not going to get a response from me. And the men that I have met or whatever in this journey have been respectful. They know that I'm like a not on the market situation, and you get a hello from me. You'll get a like, hey, thank you, friend, or whatever, or acknowledged from me because I talk to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I just feel like that's the way it is. They don't even ask you what your favorite color is.
Someone told me they don't do small talk. I remember I was having like coffee with an author who wanted to work together, and he was like writing a book on relationships, and I would just be so drained after the conversation because I'm like, dang, like, do men not really care? He told me like, oh, we don't care, kind of what you said. We don't care about your favorite color. We don't like ask you those things. Like, that is just small talk, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. And I'm like, dude, that's probably why you're divorced, because you don't even care about the little things that make up your person. Like, what? But like you said,
Yeah.
sometimes my love languages might not be somebody else's, and I think that maybe that's the bigger question or whatever. It just, like you said, it just is what it is. But I think for me, like, those things matter. Like, I want to know the small things, but
But I think
because
for women, and we're smart women, we're mature women. So if we're in a relationship or even best friends, you learn that person's love language and you learn
yeah.
how to adapt your language to that person. May not be 100%, but it's the effort. If you
Hmm.
really, really are into somebody and you really want to make them happy, you learn who they are and what they are. And we're able to give that to the people that we love, those things.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good. That's good right there. And so that takes us into your next book, Love Chronicles. Talk to
Jeez.
us about that.
I feel like I'm a lover and not a fighter. You know what I mean? Like, I just have so
Mhm.
much, I don't know what it is. I guess I've always been like this forever. Like, I'm very sentimental. I pay attention to the little things. I love, all that stuff. I think I took it for granted, and I
Mm,
disrespected it. And now that I know what I know, how I know now, I have a whole totally different perspective when it comes to love. And I just wrote a whole bunch of poems, and I figure, you know what, let's just get this out there with poetry, because I know
mhm.
people are into poems, and I had to jump on that train.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
we love it, love it. Speaking of poems, it's National Poetry Month, so definitely check
mm,
out her poetry book. Again on love, and so we definitely need all of that.
mm.
What else? Let's see. What was the inspiration? Talk about it, and you might have already shared it, but just in case it wasn't clear, what was the inspiration for the three different books that you wrote?
I don't know. I mean, life, I guess. And
Yeah.
it was hard. It was hard in the transition that I was in. I think I should have been single maybe 2 years before I was single, with everything that was going on in my household or whatever. And I just have a passion of sharing experiences, because some of these things that I have been through, people never really make it out of that. People really get stuck in those emotions because of how deep our wounds are, and when I started writing things out and I started getting like really raw feedback of gratitude, and
Mhm.
making people feel like, nobody's better than anybody, we're all equal. And I think I make people feel like that. So writing
Mhm.
it all out and putting it in the world is was my next step. Like, how else am I going to let this out there? How else am I going to let somebody know that you can come back from something pretty intense in your life? Well, you too, you have a very strong
Mhm.
testimony as well, and you could come out of that and change your life if you really put the effort into it. And it's not
Yeah.
easy. I mean, it sounds easy, but it's not
Mhm.
easy. And that's the battle. That's the
Yeah.
battle.
Yeah. And I totally get it. Some days I'm like, dang, like I get why people sometimes don't make it through their problems because it's hard and it's uncomfortable. And when I keep talking about it just because it's still fresh on my mind. Just repressed emotions is something that I'm working through right now. Like, whew, like I get why some people don't do the work and like check themselves and look at their I want to call it shadows, the things that we keep in the dark we don't talk about, but they're really the things that's really affecting our lives unconsciously that we don't even know until someone tells us or something keeps happening and then we recognize our own patterns. But it's so painful and it could be uncomfortable to be in that like almost anger. I find myself sometimes now like I want to be clear, but sometimes me being clear, which someone else has told me, is like, girl, you're coming off hostile. And it's like, oh, I don't mean to come off hostile. I just want to be clear in my communication so that way nothing can be misunderstood. But
Hmm.
I had to realize that, okay, that's what they're saying. And what it actually was for me is that I don't like being manipulated. And so it's like, if I'm being clear in my communication and I'm telling you, this is the thing. There's no way in the world you're gonna gaslight me or you're gonna manipulate me and tell me that, oh no, that's not what no, I was clear in my talking. So I had to come to an like everybody's not trying to manipulate me. Yes, I can be clear. Yes, there's a way to communicate with compassion. And just because one person said I was being hostile doesn't make it true. Did I feel hostile? No, I felt like I was just being clear and understanding that someone else's feelings and perception of me depending on my relationship with him does or does not matter. And so that was something that I had to learn recently. Like, okay, I wasn't being hostile with you, girl. I was just being clear. And
You were
if you
just
don't,
putting down your boundaries. Maybe homegirls never had somebody to set boundaries with her in the way, you had to approach the situation. But there's nothing wrong with you setting boundaries, even if you have to be a little aggressive about it.
Yeah.
You know, some things you just have to do. You just have to do
Yeah.
it. It
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks. And when it's funny because when I look at these memes on social media or whatever, and it's like rainbows and spiritual awakening, like people are like,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, I feel so free," and I'm just like, I hope you're
Yeah.
ready for this. I hope you're ready for this because once we start that journey, once we have the epiphany, and everybody fucking has it, it's
Yeah.
your life is literally like a roller coaster because we want to do right. We want to do right by our people, our family, and our friends,
Mhm.
and that is part of the process. It's painful. I mean, it'll drain you. You'll literally be physically sick because of your anxiety of having to process some of these things that you're processing during your awakening. So the spiritual awakening definitely goes into detail as far as what I went through and was going through with that situation, but it's not easy. This isn't easy. Mm-mm. But yeah, there's days that, you have glorified days where things like with the music and stuff, how it's just freaking taking off, and if I didn't go through everything that I went through, then I wouldn't be able to write that song. So I had to process
Yeah.
my emotions. I had to process my feelings and who I was feeling for in order for me to bring out these words to write music. So it's kind of like a double-bladed sword.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a good way to cope with things too. And they would say like, oh, that's healthy to, write down what you're feeling. And then some people like yourself even take it the next step and turn it into a song. And so what's going on with that? I know you just dropped something recently. Talk to us about it. Maybe I can pull it up on my computer
So I
while you talk.
dropped Uneven Terrain, and I dropped it on the 22nd of March, I believe. And it's like, is going up. I think we're at 8,900 right now on streams. And it
Wow.
hasn't even been out a month. And the girl that's featured on that particular track, her name is Yummy Bingham. She's worked with Mary J. Blige, Beyonce, Maya. She's worked with very
Okay.
heavy labels. She's Busta Rhymes' baby mama. So if you're old school like me, we know who Busta Rhymes is. I mean, she's
Mm-hmm.
that type of caliber. And when she heard it, she just went in and did the ad libs for me, and it just sounded amazing. She was so happy to do it for me. I think I cried. I don't know how many times I've cried. Every time I hear the song video, I'm a fucking crybaby. But
Let me play it. No. Let me see. No.
I'm a, stop crying.
Yeah.
But I'm so
Okay. No.
blessed. I feel blessed and I feel honored that she was even willing to be a part of,
Mm,
the song. It's a genre she hasn't hit yet. It's a genre nobody's really doing right now. And it's going very well. I'm so happy.
nice. I want to pull it up. Hang on. I want to add it to this once again so people
So
can
while
see
you're
it.
pulling it up, we're also going to put a little media package together to the wine company that's actually on the cover of the actual album. So I'm hoping that maybe we can get some kind of sponsorship or
Let me
something,
play.
something.
You know what?
Oh,
Here I
oh,
am standing alone
oh.
with an empty bottle of wine.
Turn it down a tad bit. Can y'all hear it? Okay, I'm like,
I can hear it.
Not sure which direction I
hear
should go.
Yeah.
yes, please.
I just know it's me that I need to find. Holding my head up, even though I'm on my knees, saying, God, help me, please.
Y'all go check
Help me.
it out. Go stream that.
Yes, on Spotify, all music platforms. It's on. And then we're gonna do role play. I'm hoping we could get that out by the end of next month, but that one's gonna be pretty sexy.
Nice. So are those your legs? Everybody wants to know. Are those your
Yes,
legs?
those are my legs. I'm Tina Turner, bitch. No, I'm just
Okay.
kidding.
I'm like, Have I seen them legs before?
Yes, those are my legs. That
Oh my
was when my
gosh.
back first started, like really was messed up. I ended up in the hospital the next day
Yeah.
because of how much pain I was in, but that picture
No
came
way.
out dope.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
The things we do.
Yes, we got like 5 killer shots that come with the album. I wish I could share. I think I
Wow.
sent them to you, but I wish I could
Mhm.
post them and share them, but I can't. I have to wait every song that comes out, then we can release the
Okay.
pictures or whatnot. Yeah.
Nice, nice, nice. What else? What else can we expect from you? This was a great conversation.
Jeez.
What's coming up
Hopefully I'll be dating soon because that
next?
is like the only part of my life that just is, God's like, you know what, and I swear, like the song Complicated, like I really took it for granted, relationships
Mm,
and stuff like that. I really didn't. And divorce was so easy, just to sign a fucking piece of paper. Like, and that's how, and my attitude was with it. Maybe because my mom was a single mom and I
mm,
really was like, whatever, with the situation. But now it's different. Now it's different. So
mm.
hopefully by then I'll have some updated news with that. But other than that, I'm just going to keep writing and my music. I'm so excited about it because it's just going so well. Like it's already at 8,000 and it hasn't even been out a month yet. So I'm hoping that I'm touching families and I'm touching people's hearts and I'm just giving as much inspiration as I can to the people around me.
Mhm. Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, y'all check her out. Her information has been scrolling across the screen. Any final words? What's the last word to leave for the people before we jump off of here?
Don't fucking give up. That
Yeah.
is it. Don't give up. If you're a writer, be a writer. If you're a singer, be a singer. All of that. Be who you say you are because we are it and who we say we are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's powerful. That's powerful. Check out her books. Available on Amazon, available on winpublications.com. And stay tuned. She's working on some things. I'm working on some things, of
Mhm.
course. My anthology, again, I wanted to make sure I bring that up one more time before we get off my anthology. Seeking Connections. I'm taking submissions until May 31st.
Is that the thing you were telling me about? The free what you were doing?
Yeah, I could even
Okay.
let me pull it up while I'm talking about it. So it's anthology on seeking connections. It's an anthology to finding the right people. That's the name of it. And let me
Could you
see.
send me the link in my DMs?
Yeah, I can. I can
Okay,
do
thank
that.
you.
Let me see if it will.
Also, too, before we forget, all of us is in Spanish. Oh,
Yes.
oh, this is what I was going to tell you. Sorry, I don't know if you're going to run
Go
out of
ahead.
time.
Go
Let
ahead.
me
I'm
tell you
pulling
really
this
quick.
up on talking.
Okay, so when I went to this LULAC convention when we got sworn in or whatever, there's
Mhm.
a girl there. Her name is Melissa May. She is going to run for Congress. So I'm just like getting all this information from her. She's actually going to set up an appointment with me with the director of education out here so we could try to get my book in the school district, girl.
Okay, that's
That's
major. Okay. I wish I had like a little clapping sound.
you know,
Woo!
we doing it. We doing it.
We're doing it. We're doing it. Okay, so this is what I wanted to share. Let me add it back up there. So seeking connections. I'm looking for writers. This really is a heart project. Again, I'm really big on giving back to the community, and this is one of the things that I felt like I could offer. Not only just trauma survivors is really my area that I work in. Is just finding healing, finding moments of wellness for those of us who have been in traumatic situations. And so this is a heart project. There's no submission fee. Nobody's making anything. We're offering this for free. It will be a downloadable PDF as well as the ebook on Amazon. I'm
Nice.
any boxes to get any kind of payment. This is just something I just want to put out there and make it available because and I was talking to my sister about this. Just man, I wish somebody would have pulled me aside and said, these are the things that you need to look for in predators. These are the things that you need to watch out for in relationships. And I'm not knocking my parents, you know, we're all growing and learning as we grow, as we go. But man, I can't help but to think like, now being on this side and being a parent myself, I want my child to have something like this. And this is just kind of explains my reason why I want to put out something like this, just because there's been times when I felt lonely and it was like, why do I feel this way? I have people. But when you're in that situation and you're just in your head, you forget, you know. And one of the things that I shared recently on my Facebook was just about, you know, checking your tribe, checking your people. And my folks know where I'm coming from. Like, I don't like to be manipulated, so I'm gonna try and be clear as possible. I'm gonna ask 3, 4, 5, whatever until I can come to an understanding.
Yeah.
By it, other than just that. But um I have to be clear and check my tribe and say, hey, what is it that you can help me with? Because there have been situations where I've asked for help and that person was unavailable. And, you know, and I think, I don't know if it's this month or a different month. I think April is also Suicide Prevention Month. And a lot of people commit, you know, they unalive themselves because of situations like that, where they ask someone for help and that person wasn't available. So now they're discouraged. Now they're upset for asking anybody else in their life. Well, I'm grateful that, you know, and it was Fabs who had helped me in that time where I was feeling lonely, like, you know, and she didn't know that until I had mentioned it. And so just sometimes checking your tribe, saying, hey, what is it that you can help me with? When you say you're going to be there for me, what does that mean? What does that actually look like? Does it look like you being so busy with your family right now that you can't stop for 10 minutes or 20 minutes and just entertain me, listen to what I'm talking about? Stuff like those things are important. And so this book was kind of birthed out of that. Like, these are like green flags in relationships. This is how you communicate in relationships, not just dating. I think a lot of people, when we say relationships, their mind goes to like dating. Yeah, that's one of them, but also like in the workplace, you know, what are your boundaries in the workplace? What are your boundaries with your friends? And of course dating falls into that too. And again, a lot of us have been through some things. I know I'm not alone when I'm sharing this. So that's why I wanted to make this opportunity available for people to share, you know, and to put their stories in a book and get it published. You know, and so
Show up
again,
for our people. We just have to keep showing up for our people.
yeah, yeah, and that's really what it is, you know. And so this month, you know, I really am telling people, check in with your folks, you know, and make sure that they're good, because a lot of people are struggling in silence, and we can't continue to tell people, oh, speak up, speak up. Well, if someone's trying to speak up and you're not answering, you know, that could be traumatic, and it could be tragic for a lot of people. And so
I think I did a little TikTok about that as well when Twitch committed suicide or whatever, you know. I just feel like as long as we keep showing up for our people and doing what we can to make sure that our people feel loved by us, like you said, any relationship in our lives, we got to keep showing up. At least we'll have the satisfaction of knowing that we tried to, or we did show somebody we love them that much before they unalive themselves, because at the end of the day, it's their decision what they decide to do with their lives. You know, yes, we feel sorrow, we feel despair, we feel all the guilt, all of that stuff, especially if it's somebody in our family, you know, but that's their own energy that they're dealing with. And at least you can have some type of, you know, peace of mind that you did what you could.
Right, right. Yeah, Raquel, I see you, girl. Thank you for joining us. She said I was planning to message you about the deadline. Yes, May 31st. I hope that gives people enough time to get their stuff written and send it in. It does not have to be perfect. I'm going to edit it. And when publications will hold the copyright to that, but it's available. It's going to be made available online. So if you know, what I envision happening is people taking this and using it um, for presentations, for talking out in the community, saying, hey, I was a part of this project. And
Well, definitely use that link too when I'm out talking with these people. these women empowerment programs that I'm about to step into. I'll give you more update on that when I know update, but I'll bring all that stuff. You can know that I'll bring all that stuff with me along that too. So if we get it into Spanish, that would be cool too.
That would be cool. That would be cool. That would be cool. So we're working on some stuff. You guys get involved. This is my heart. All of this work, all of the things that we've talked about. This was a great episode. Go back and check it out. Get connected, and I'll be on again in a couple. I think I'm on again next week. I did have some people sign up. Some more authors signed up to be on book talk. I'm really excited. Things are taking off for me as well, just as a publishing professional. And so this is the season, y'all. Get active and get involved. Show up. This is the time.
It's our year this year.
Yeah, be encouraged. And that's it. That's it. All right. Peace out. Talk to y'all later.
All right. See you soon.